Hi everyone, welcome back to Wool and Fabric Making, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Nicole. I'm coming to you today. This is podcast episode 11. I'm pretty sure it's 11. We'll put the name up on the top if it's not. So welcome back. Thank you for joining us. This is just a little fiber-focused, craft-focused podcast. And I've got some updates for you today. I'm going to do a deep dive on some fit items, like kind of explaining a little bit about the fit and how you can customize your stuff to like make you fit better. So that'll be part one or part of this. And then I'm also going to talk about a couple of new items that I am working on and dive into some swatches, talk about my mostly done testnet, and I'll explain about that in a minute. And then some final stuff I'm doing on different pieces to make them fit better and to just kind of get them finished up. So yeah, a lot of updates. Not a ton today, but I think it'll, I always say, I'm like, oh, it's not going to be that long. And then it's like an hour. So, we'll just take it. So for what I'm wearing today, I am wearing the Ebba vest by Nordlund. I knit this in Hobbii and Pom Pom did a collaboration. And of course, I'm forgetting the name of the yarn right now. It's like right there. Okay, well, I forgot the name. I'll put it up on the screen. But it was a collaboration yarn that they did. And so, I knit it. This is actually the yarn that's used in the sample. So Nordlund sample. So, I knit it using the same yarn. It is a mix of alpaca and cotton. So it is pretty warm, but without the sleeves and stuff, it's pretty nice. So you'll see right here, I'm wearing a tank top under here, but like this is one of the things we're going to talk about in a little bit, and I'll explain more about that. I really like this top though. I think that if I were to make it again, I would probably drop down one size. If you can kind of see, like, if I hold this out, like the size is probably one size too big, and this tends to happen to me pretty frequently. And so I've been trying to do a better job of like picking the correct size based on finished measurements of the garment, including like armhole depth, and also taking into factor that this tends to happen a lot to me. So we'll talk about that. Okay. So as for some updates on finished objects, I did say last time, I'll have my finished testnet. So the Plume Top by Maya Tinks, that has been released. So I did post on my Instagram and had this finished pictures. The pictures that I have online are tucked in. The top is actually tucked in. And the reason for that is because in my rush to get it done, I decided to bind off, and it was like 2 a.m. I'm like, I was trying to do an I-cord bind off at 2 a.m, which was such a bad decision. And so what ended up happening is the bottom, there's these sort of little like peaks. They kind of like peak like this. They got very like cinched in. They didn't look right. It was a hot mess. And I blocked it, again, not like thinking straight. I was like, okay. And then I blocked it, and I started seeing kind of what was happening, and I was like, ooh, okay. So long story short, I went ahead and finished blocking it because it was already wet. And I was able to take photos and give her some finished photos with the bottom tucked in, kind of wearing it like styled how I would wear it for work anyway. And so it worked out. The photos are actually really cool. And it was okay. But what I had to do then is I actually had to put it back on the needles and undo the entirety of the I-cord bind off, which, if you don't know what an I-cord is, it's basically like a few stitches, right? So like if these are your stitches, you're basically taking like 3 stitches that would be in a row, and you're sort of knitting them so that they're in a tube. So you would go like knit across and then knit back, or you would go around and around. But what happens with this is you knit across, and then you put those stitches back on the needle, and you bring the yarn back around, and then you knit again. And then you kind of keep doing this. And so what happens is those stitches start to like cinch together into a tube, and that's called an I-cord. So, I had to go all the way back, take out the entire I-cord, bind off, which took a while. That in and of itself was a pretty lengthy exercise, and I wanted to do it with a clear head to not drop a bunch of stitches. So I'm back to the point where I've got all my stitches live on the needles again, and I'm starting the I-cord bind off again. I already, you can actually see this. Let me pull these stitches over and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I don't know why I've been having such a hard time with this bind off. But you can already see that when I started this with the US 1 needles, it was already like very tight. So you can see like right in here, it's very tight. It's like very tight and cinched up and looks a bit rough. So what I actually ended up doing is I went up to US 2. I went up a needle size and decided to actually start doing the I-cord bind off in that. And you can kind of see right here how it's starting to get a lot more even and crisp. So I think going up a needle size was the right decision, and I feel a lot better about the way it's going now. So yeah, you know, I don't know what happened here. Like, to be perfectly frank, I'm not sure why this was such a struggle. I've done an I-cord bind off before and never had a hard time. It could be the yarn. Like, I've struggled with this yarn being splitty, and I've talked about that before, so that has been a little bit of a factor. But I don't know. I think I just started it tired. It was just probably a lot of factors. So whatever. But we're getting there. We're going to get it done. It's going to be great. I'm very excited. The overall fit of this is absolutely gorgeous, and that's actually one of the things I wanted to talk about. So, real quick, I was able to get this this ribbon in town. This is actually some ribbon that I purchased from, a place called Twisted Ribbon in Gilbert, Arizona, and they're kind of amazing, actually. They had, like, you walk in, they're actually inside of a shared space, and the main space is called Twisted Sugar, but this space was like an entire wall of just like spools of these beautiful different kinds of ribbon. And so I actually picked 2 ribbons. I figured I could kind of use the different ribbons for styling different ways. So the ribbon that I have on here and the one that's in the photos is this black velvet ribbon. So I don't know if you can kind of see, like, it's got these little bit of texture and velvet finish on here. And then on the other side, it's like a smooth ribbon. So it's very nice. I left the strings kind of long. I may trim them at some point, or at least burn the ends so they don't unravel, but yeah. So the overall fit of this is actually so good, and that's one of the things I wanted to kind of talk about today that I thought was very special and unique about this, is that what happens to me a lot is that because of the overall circumference around my body for these tops, most patterns are based off of a full bust measurement, which for me tends to run bigger. And so what happens is the garment tends to just be overall like very big. So where proportions are off, I think sometimes patterns tend to just like take those sizes and kind of just like increase them. So then the ratios aren't always as accurate. Like, this depth doesn't change as much as like the bust circumference might change, but you kind of see those numbers go up together to the point where this starts to happen quite a bit. Now, I do think I probably could have made this vest in a size smaller, which would have helped. And if I had to do it over again, I would definitely have not gone down as far before I started, before I joined in the round, basically. I would have definitely stopped the depth of the armhole sooner. And on top of that, I would not have cast on as many of these stitches, like these purl stitches, in under the arm. So, this is part of the thing of like knitting and making stuff with for your own body or specifically for other people, is that you have the ability to like customize and edit and modify things for your physical body. It's one of the things I love about knitting. And I will say I'm still learning. I've been doing this for 13 years. I've been knitting for 13 years and I'm still figuring it out. And on top of that, bodies change. Bodies are always changing, especially women. We could literally have physical changes in the course of a month. So like, that's a factor. That's something you have to think about and do what's best for what you want to feel. So one of the things that I really loved about this test knit and about this plume top is the fit. And I'll post the photos, but one of the things is because of the construction of this, what happens is once this goes around, to the underarm or whatever, this is a much higher fit. You can actually even see, like, it's right at, like, almost right where this tank top is. And you can see, like, it's a much higher fit than this other one, right? So what's really nice about this is the way it fits and the way it's sort of tailored to your body, is really, I think, a unique design element. And I think she did a great job with that. And that's probably one of my favorite things. I was very nervous about the fit, because of this situation that happens in a lot of patterns. But obviously, because I was test knitting this, I didn't want to like go rogue and start modifying everything. I wanted to knit it to her pattern specifications and make sure that I was, following her directions to get her the best feedback I could. But there's always a little bit of a trade-off there that like, okay, if this does have issues, then my finished garment potentially has issues, right? But this one turned out really well, and the fit is really, really nice on it. I think that, I think she has a really good eye for size inclusivity on her patterns, and so I was really impressed. And she did include the option for bust darts. I did not utilize the bust darts for the reasons I've kind of mentioned. I didn't want this to get even more wide, but I did include some A-line shaping. So towards the bottom of mine, you can see I kept sort of increasing some stitches towards the bottom just to give it a little bit of a flare. So I'm pretty round on my hips. So I'm bigger, and then my hips are like also wide. So I guess I kind of have like the thing. And so what happens is, the top if it's cropped, it fits really great if it's like a straight silhouette to the top of my waist. But if I try to go anything past that's going to go over my hips, it needs to have a little bit of a flare because my hips do, I'm very like sort of pear-shaped, I guess. So, all that to say, I did do the A-line shaping for the lower portion of the body, so it does sort of flare out, which again is like beautiful and perfect and exactly what I wanted for my body. And in the directions for the pattern, she gave you the option to like include that or don't. So, so just to recap, I mean, this is called the Plume Top by my Tinks. It's knit, the pattern is knit in any fingering weight yarn. Her pattern was the Knitting for Olive Pure Silk, which is also what I happen to use. Mine is in the color Pink Daisies, and I'll put the specs on, but it's 100% barrette silk. And I only ended up getting into like, I want to say I was like at 3.5 balls total. And it is pretty cropped. I did make mine pretty cropped because I think that's the cutest way to wear this type of thing. So yeah, I have a project page on Ravelry, so I'll put it up. But the pattern is live now if you're interested, if you want to make one for yourself. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. I obviously learned a lot on needles for this process. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, go back a few episodes and you'll see my struggle with the cheap needles. But yeah, once we got past that, I mean, this thing really flew off the needles. The fabric is very lightweight. It is so drapey and beautiful. It is 100% silk. So I mean, it's luxury. It's beautiful. But for like 3.5 balls of yarn, that's really not bad. So yeah. And then let me show you the other, ribbon I got. So this is the place. It's called, oh, that's upside down. Let's do it this way. So this is the place in Gilbert called Twisted Ribbon. I'm like, they weren't super expensive. I think I got 2 yards of each ribbon and I paid like $11 or something. So they weren't bad at all. And they had some that were obviously a lot more expensive. They had some that were like hand embroidered for Germany. So, you know, like just really cool. But so this is like a crocheted lace ribbon. And the fun part of this is like you can actually switch the ribbons out. So like if I wanted to wear this in the summer and have it be more like you know, kind of girly and summery, I could put in that crochet ribbon. And if I wanted to keep it more professional for work and wanted to do it more styled like evening or something, I'd do the black velvet. So I think it's really fun. The pattern gives you the opportunity to actually add a bit of flair. And if you go onto social media and look up some of the pattern testers, there was one person who had this beautiful like big ribbon bow. It was like large fabric ribbon. And that was really beautiful too. I mean, there was so many different like ideas and ways that people were using the ribbon. So it's just another opportunity to like modify it and customize it for what you want, what you're going for. And then on top of all of that, the pattern is also a dress. So it's a top and a dress. And the dresses are beautiful. I would probably not knit. I won't say like I would never knit myself a dress. Like maybe I would one day, but that would take a lot of time and a lot of yarn. So, you know, for me that's an aspirational goal one day maybe. But yeah, so this is beautiful. I just have to finish redoing the bind off and then it will be 100% completed. I'm super happy with the way it turned out. And like I said, I'll post pictures, but it's beautiful. This top is absolutely gorgeous. I think she really nailed it. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that. Yeah. And then, like I said, those little ribbons are cute. So that is my plume top. That is my test knit. I am officially done with my test knit. Great, exciting news, because I was feeling bad if I wasn't going to be like able to give her photos and feedback by the time it was due. I'm drinking just like plain coffee today in my Starbucks Chicago mug. Shout out to my homie in Chicago. Okay. So, last time I talked about a new cast on, and that's the Golden Field Vest by Hobbii Locatelli. Not only did I cast it on, which I showed you like a tiny little sliver, maybe? I might not have. It might have just been the swatch. I don't remember. It's all a blur. But, of course, I'm mid-row. But anyway, it is on the needles, and it is flying. I have actually completed the back, the upper back, and the upper front portions, and have already joined in the round. So that's the joys of using giant chunky weight yarn. So this is it so far. So we just joined in the round. I mean, it's like, you know, just a few stitches in the round. Like, you know, let's not be dramatic. But yeah, so it is joined in the round. It's going to be very cool. So again, here, a consideration that I was trying to pay really close attention to is this armhole depth. When this blocks, it is going to grow. So based on that, I may add more ribbing to kind of help cinch up this armhole. You know, if I do a little deeper ribbing, what's going to happen is it's going to help pull it up a little bit. So I'm paying attention to that. I'm thinking about it. So currently, I've already done the upper and the back. I'm sorry, the upper front and the upper back halves, right? So basically to like the underarm. So I basically have all of this done, and everything left is like the body, the cuffs on the armholes, the neckband, and the bottom ribbing. And I'm barely on the second ball. So this is the second ball. I really thought this was going to take me a lot more a lot more yarn. So I'm actually a lot less concerned about the yarn issue now, because I've basically been able to do like at least a third of the sweater with not even 2 balls, and I had 6. 5? I think 6. Either way, I think I'm going to be fine. But I went stash diving again to see if I had any yarn that I might be able to use. And I was actually able to track some down. Let me see if I can find where I put it. I went deep stash diving. And I found 2 that I think could possibly work. I'm sure I bought these at my local yarn store, Tempe Yarn and Fiber, probably forever ago. And it's Malabrigo Vientos. So this is Vientos is a bulky weight yarn. It's 130 yards, 100 grams, 100% superwash merino wool, and this is the color Flor de Jade, which I think is like jade flower. And then this is the same thing, but this is the color Black Forest. So Vientos, yeah. So all the same. So the really interesting thing about this is I'm thinking I could use either one of these kind of, I think, right? Like if I did decide I wanted to do a contrast color, because maybe I do. Maybe. Do I want it to be like a turquoise? Like, would turquoise look cool? Up against this? Like, is that too much? And the camera's not picking it up great, honestly. I mean, this is like a very, very, like, vibrant turquoisey green. Man, you really don't pick up on how beautiful this is, really, on the camera. It's a lot more turquoise. It's showing up very blue on the camera, but it's really a lot more turquoise. So, like, would that be cute? Maybe? Or, like, do I want to just go black? Ugh. You know, like, if it's up to me, it's black. That's how I roll. I love black. So, like, but tell me that wouldn't be cute as, like, a contrast for the ribbing, right? Like, that's kind of adorable. But, like, this is also really cool. I don't know. Maybe I'll put a little poll up on Instagram or something and give people the option. Do I just leave it in the main color? Do I do a little contrast? What do I do? I don't know. Haven't decided. But either way, I feel like I'm going to have enough yarn and it'll be okay if I decide not to do the contrast. So, yeah. Overall, I think this is going to be a really nice vest. I do think, given the weight and how heavy it is, that it's going to be a winter vest. It'll be too hot in the summer. Even inside in the air conditioning, like, it's going to be too hot. I can already tell just on, like, the heft of this. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be like an inside outside winter thing, which is great. I'm excited. So yeah, love it. I was a little nervous about some of the texture getting lost with the coloring, but honestly, I think it's actually pretty okay. I think that this has enough light swatches and light bits mixed in that, like, you still get the vibe. Ooh. Oh, sorry, I thought I was gonna sneeze. So, yeah, I think this is really nice. I think this is gonna be beautiful. I'm very excited. I basically knit all of this in about a week. Since I, had to tink back my whole bind off and all that stuff, I basically paused while I was slowly trying to tink that back. Every time I needed a break on doing it, I would work on this. So yeah, this has basically been about a week of knitting, and it's already, I would say, like a third, if not more, of the way done. So I'm excited. I think this is going to be really pretty. I'm very excited and happy about how it's turning out. I am going to see about maybe a contrast color. I do love the black with it. Like, I'm not going to lie. I kind of love the black with it, and there's a very solid chance I might just do it. So we'll see. And then just a reminder, this is K&C, like, Superwash Luxe. Superwash Fine Wool Luxe or something. Again, I'll put the specs up. It's a Joann fabric yarn that is no longer made. It's discontinued, so kind of a bummer, but it's a bulky weight, 100% superwash wool yarn. So it's very similar to that Vientos yarn composition. It's actually almost identical. So, you know, you can kind of use them, I think, pretty interchangeably. This has more plies. I think it's definitely a heavier ply, like, meaning the twist is tighter. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty spot on. They look pretty close. So I think it'll be great. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll put up a poll, or maybe I'll just decide to do black. But that should be done. I mean, that's going to be done pretty quick, I think. And then I will be like very focused on Christmas gifts and like a couple, like one other thing I have going on that I will talk about later. Not yet. Okay. So I showed, when I first started talking about my holiday gift knits, I showed the green tube scarf that I had made on my Centro knitting machine. I had a big old ball of Noro Ito, which is 100% wool yarn. This is, Noro is a brand based in Japan that uses a lot of really cool different types of fibers, dyeing techniques. Everything that they do is like hand dyed. It's very, very unique, cool yarn. Very different and like very, what I would call like artsy. So I saw this big old cake of yarn. And like I said, this is Noro Ito. It's 100% wool, 200 grams, 400 meters. It's a worsted weight. And it says here, Ito means both yarn and young in Japanese. Ito is yarn reborn. And this is color 90. So I saw this and thought, like, I wonder if I could, I was like, I wonder if I could take the Ito yarn and do it on the Centro knitting machine and like get that same sort of tube effect. Now, the thing about this is 100% wool, and it is very much like a thick and thin yarn. So it's a single ply yarn, which means that the yarn itself is not a super consistent ply. So like, as you're looking at this, it's definitely got like some spots that are a bit thicker, and then, you know, let's see, and then like over here, you can kind of see, if you look at those two together, like you can kind of see there's like one's thick and one's a bit thinner. And that's the beauty of like a hand spun yarn. I mean, the yarn I spin is literally the exact same. There's thick spots and thin spots because we're not machines. So I love that. I mean, I love the texture. I love the effect of this yarn. I love the way the coloring works. So I was like, it'd be sweet if I could put this on the Centro and like do a tube and have like this really cool tube scarf. So I put it on the Centro machine and cranked it. And actually my husband is amazing because he did help me crank it for a while because my arm was getting tired. And what I will say is that the knitting machine does not like Noro yarn. It did not enjoy it at all, and I lost stitches left and right. The thing I got at the end, and I'll post the pictures, the thing I got at the end was like this monstrosity of wool tube-ish, like with holes in it. It was a hot mess. And I was like, not so much. So there was a big no on that. And, you know, what are you going to do? So I ended up taking it apart and rewinding it into this big old giant cake. And because I'm still very interested in wanting to use this yarn for something, I only have one cake of this specific colorway. So, like, it's going to be something kind of small. Excuse me. Oh, my goodness. I was like, okay, well, let me at least do a swatch, like a hand knit swatch, so I can kind of get an idea of, like, what this is going to do. So I did a hand knit swatch, and I did this on a US 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I did this on a US 7, and it hasn't been blocked yet. It will, I think it's gonna like puff up quite a bit when it gets blocked, and I think it's gonna soften up a bit because it's 100% wool. Like, this yarn is a bit toothy, so it's got some scratch to it. It's definitely got some texture, but I think it softens up quite a bit when you when you block it. So yeah, I don't know if you can kind of see, like, it is so cool. It is so, so cool. All the like little heathering and texture and gradients. So this is the swatch. I absolutely love it. I think this is the type of yarn that really wants to have a blank canvas and really shine. So I'm trying to figure out what to use this for, because I want it to be special and I want it to really like have its moment. So yeah, that's in the works. I'm trying to figure that out and then kind of make a decision after I swatch this to see what the fabric feels like. It's definitely very like stretchy. You know, it's got like some good stretch and some good bounce back. Yeah, it's like, it's a really nice fabric. So yeah, I'm gonna block this and kind of see what it does and see how much it grows, what kind of gauge I can get on it, and then make a decision after that. I do know it will not be on the knitting machine, so learned that the hard way. But really, I think this is going to be so pretty. And I think the color gradation is going to be like absolutely stunning. So I'm excited about that. Stay tuned. We'll see what that wants to become here soon. I swatched it because I'm thinking about somebody who might enjoy a gift from this. And that's part of why I was also kind of thinking about it. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So yeah. That's another thing. And then for a couple things I was trying to like wrap up and finish. I had mentioned this as a finished object a while ago, and this is my reading. No. I'll have to put the name up. It's a cardigan by Aimee Sher Makes, and of course I'm blanking on the name of it, but reading. No, that's the slip over. Anyway, I'll put the name up. So this is a cardigan by Aimee Sher Makes. I used her base pattern and then I actually incorporated the striping in the design of this one. And I used Harrisville Designs Nightshades. Daylights and Nightshades. And again, I'll put like the yarn specs and stuff up, but yeah, so I did the stripes in a bunch of different colors, which doesn't look like it. It looks like just black and white, and that's kind of the intention. But as you go, each stripe of white and black are actually vary a little bit. So like this black has a slightly different tinge to this one, This one's more blue, this one's more pink, this one's more purple. And it's actually all different colors of like a black yarn. So there's 3 different blacks and there's 2 different whites. The white, there's like a blue white and then like a greenish white. So yeah. So from afar, it just looks like a big chunky black and white sweater, but the more like the closer you get, the more you start to see like the color variation and you start to see some of the specs and the different types of blacks and whites that are in it. And then for the contrast yarn, this is a Lolabean yarn company in a DK, and the color is called Goo, and it's this like super bright neon green. So one of the things I needed to do was I needed to fix the cuffs. So this is how the cuffs looked at the end, and they are too short. So when I wear it, they like sit really, really high up. And they're very tight. The cast off was too tight. And so what I needed to do is I needed to extend the cuff and I needed to like stretch it out a bit. So I did that. I also went up a needle size when I came back in. I know it looks weird. I don't really care, to be frank. So, you know, I just wanted it to fit comfortably. And once it gets blocked again and you wear it, like you'll never tell. So now it's like much better. And when I put it on, you can actually see it's quite a bit better. This was the wrist that was like a lot worse. So anyway, you can see here, like, you know, once all this gets bound in or, you know, sort of woven in and I block all this out, like you won't be able to tell. It'll be fine. So yeah, I'm very excited about having gotten that part done. The next thing I need to do is fix the other cuff, But the sort of the last thing I had to do on this too was add the buttons. So I showed the buttons previously, but I have now officially sewn them on. And these are like a sort of in the center, the white part is like a mother of pearl, and then the outside black ring is just like a black like acrylic or plastic. And then I sewed them on with the bright green yarn to give it some contrast. So if you see, here's the button sewn on, right? So the buttons literally tie into like the whole sweater now. So you can see the whole thing sort of come to life. And like, I'll be honest, it's giving serious Beetlejuice vibes. Like, I'm not even mad. I don't even mind. I'm kind of like, whatever, it looks cool. So yeah. I don't care. It's awesome. I love it. It's like one of my favorite things. I wear it. Right now it's a little bit in flux, but when it's done, I actually take it to work and use it in the office quite a bit because it gets pretty cold. So I love it. No regrets. I'm gonna give Beetlejuice vibes in it, and I don't care. I love it. It's so cool. It's such a fun design. I love the stripes. I love knowing that all the stripes are secretly like different shades of black because I love black, and like literally that's the funniest thing to me to be like, oh, but I have shades of black. Like, yeah, I love it. So that is that. That is like I said, just needs those last little tweaks and it'll be done, and I'm very excited about it. So, okay. One of the last things is actually, I think one of the last things. Am I forgetting anything else? I'm going to say probably not. Okay. One of the last things is actually a little craft that we're going to do this weekend. So two things. So the next video I'm going to make is actually a probably not quick, let's be honest. But the next video I plan to make is actually about a book that I had been wanting for a really long time. So the book itself is called 52 Weeks of Scrap Knits. I have it right here actually, or Scrap Yarn, 52 Weeks of Scrap Yarn by Laine magazine. They curate 52 weeks of 52 patterns, right? So it's supposed to be like one pattern every week. And this one, they sort of have themes for all of them. So one is like 52 weeks of socks. And then there's one that's like 52 weeks of scarves. And there's one of like 52 weeks of accessories. So they sort of all have like a focus of like this specific type. I think they also have one that's like 52 weeks of chunky knits or something. So they all sort of have a general focus, and what's really interesting about it is this one specifically is like how to use up scraps and bits and pieces of yarn to make like overall garments. So the next video I'm planning to make, and let me back up again. This book has been out for a while, I think. I want to say it's maybe been like a year. And I had seen it a while ago and was like, man, that is such a cool book and something I would be super interested in. But these books are a little bit hard to find. Like, they're just very popular. They sell out very quickly. So I was a little bit like, okay, well, when the time is right. Yeah, so this is copyright in 2025. So came out last year. But I had my eye on this book for a while, and there's a couple patterns in here that I was looking at to potentially do some holiday gifts with, but you can only get the patterns in the book. So I was like, okay, well, if I ever see the book in the wild, like I'd love to maybe try it. So I was at Barnes & Noble, and I actually found this book at my local Barnes & Noble, which is rare. I can almost never find these books there. And so I picked it up because I was like, finally, I get to see it in person, and like very excited. And I'm telling you all of this to tell you two things. One, I plan to actually dive into several of these patterns that I'm really interested in and I want to like sort of highlight as really good options for like stash busting and things that I'm looking at to potentially make. So I want to use this book and I'll do a whole video on it. It's going to be sort of a book review and that'll be probably the next video I make. But the second thing, and the point to my whole story, is that I was at Barnes & Noble, and while I was there, I actually also found this really cool little kit that they had, kind of in that same craft section, but it was like Mindful Crafts, friendship bracelets. So, you know, here's this, it's like a whole kit. And it's not anything terribly fancy, but it just comes with enough stuff to sort of get you started to be able to make about 20 bracelets or, you know, ish. So there's like, you know, several things of embroidery floss. There's like a little cardboard loom in it. And then the pattern booklet that shows you how to make all these things. So I actually picked it up and my kids and I and my husband, we are actually going to make, you know, family friendship bracelets this weekend. So that is kind of our thing this weekend we're going to do. So I thought this was really cute. It's simple. You know, like a simple little thing for us to do all together and also getting their creative juices flowing because it's so easy for them to just end up on the computer or on the tablets or on screens all the time. And we try really hard to not let that happen. So anything we can do to sort of pull them away and give them something, you know, interactive and creative to do, we try to do. So yeah, I just wanted to show this off because this was really cute. I thought this was a really fun little kit. And, you know, easy enough that I think a kid could do it. We're going to find out, I guess. And then they get to like pick their own colors and pick whatever pattern they want to make. And then we can all kind of have our own little family bracelets. So yeah, I thought that was cute. So we'll do that this weekend. And then I'll try and post a photo at some point of us with our little, you know, with our little bracelets on. So yeah, that is kind of it for this weekend, I think. So we're going to keep it chill. We had a lot of stuff last weekend and then, yeah, I don't know. It's just been busy. And then the kids are going to start hockey soon. So like, oh, it's our whole weekend. Anyway, that, I think that's it. I feel like oh, I know what I was going to tell you all. Okay, so another thing that's coming up, I'm very excited about this, and this is going to happen fairly soon. I'm actually going to do a whole series on processing an entire fleece. So my amazing stepmom, Grace, hi Grace, she's looking out, man. She's looking out for me. She has a friend who had some sheep that they were shorn and, he wasn't going to use the fleece. So like very graciously gave it to my stepmom to then give to me. And like, yeah, like 2 fleece, which is wild. That's a lot of wool. And yeah, it is like completely fresh, just shorn, as of, I think like maybe a week or 2 ago. And, you know, it's wool. I don't have any specifics on the type of sheep breeds or anything like that. I just know it's wool. From what I've seen in the photos that she sent, it actually looks very soft. It looks like it's gonna be very nice. I think, you know, it's maybe in there as with like a merino. So, you know, I kind of am expecting like more of a fine wool. It definitely looked like a bit more of a fine wool. So we'll see. I'm coordinating with them. They live a couple hours away, so I'm coordinating, yeah, where it's not as hot, and that's why sheep are okay up there. But to be fair, there's sheep actually even in Phoenix, so like that's a thing. But anyway, so this is not my first time processing a fleece. This is my first time processing that much fleece, so that's going to be fun. But my kids are old enough now that I think they'll also get to like participate in the process. So my plan, and the reason I'm telling you this now, is that I will be doing like a whole series on processing the fleece start to finish and sort of our experience, how we get it done, and showing y'all some of the behind the scenes. We will likely process the fleece and just get it cleaned and sort of like carded or something and then I'll decide if I want to dye it or just leave it natural. With that much wool, I mean, we could probably do both. I also have dyed yarn and fiber in the past, so that is also something I do, which I could also probably include in the series of like us dyeing it and sort of going through that process all together. So yeah, get excited. I'm very excited. You can tell I'm thrilled. It's going to be so fun. It's a lot of work. Like, don't get me wrong. Processing fleece is no joke. It's a lot of work. You've got to like clean it. You have to do sort of the pre-process. You have to like pick everything out. It is on the sheep's body. There will be chunks that are unusable. They will have poo in them. They'll have vegetable matter in them. You pick stuff out. You get as much out as you can. And you kind of just start from there. There's going to be parts of the wool that are unusable. You can actually, if you have a garden, you can actually like mix that into any composting that you have, or put it like down on the base layer of your soil. And it's like a low release nitrogen thing. It's actually, they actually make little wool pellets for your garden, but that's a whole other thing. I'm going to go down a tangent. So anyway, I won't get into that. But the point is, if you have wool that is unusable for like fiber craft, there's other uses for it. So just be aware. There will be some pieces that are very felted and you actually can't like pull them apart. That's normal too. Those pieces, if they're clean and you can at least get them cleaned up, those pieces are great for like stuffing. You can use them for little toys, or you can also felt them, like keep felting them and make like little wool felted coasters. You could make a wool felted bowl, believe it or not. The sky is the limit. Let me tell you, wool is the type of fiber that like has so many uses besides just making like fiber craft like yarn or something. It's kind of endless. So I'm very excited. Like I'm very excited about these two fleece. I'm very excited to like start processing them and start picking out, you know, the bits and stuff, and then show you how we get the lanolin out of the wool, because that's also a thing. You don't have to get the lanolin out. It changes the way the wool will work and your experience with it. But there are actually people who will spin directly from like the sheep almost, right? Like they'll shear it and they'll just start spinning it. And again, perfectly valid. Like, you know, if you're on a boat and you're trying to wear something that's somewhat waterproof, keeping that lanolin in is actually a great way to waterproof it and keeps you warm. I'm telling you, sheep and wool are like amazing. They're next level. God went all out on sheep, I'm telling you. So I could talk about it all day. The point is, I'm gonna do a series. I'm gonna like talk you through all of it. I'm going to talk you how we scour it, how we get it cleaned up, how we start to process the fiber to make it spinnable, all of that stuff. That is coming. That is, get excited. I'm very excited. I will probably do parts and pieces of it so that it's not like one really long vlog or whatever. I'm planning to do like, okay, here's the first part. We're going to start, you know, picking through it. And the next part is like, okay, now we're going to scour a portion of it. And then, okay, now we're going to start like combing the fiber or carding it or whatever we decide to do. So yeah, I'm very excited. I think that wool is one of those things that gets me very, like, obviously very excited to see what you can do, and the, you know, the possibilities are amazing. So yeah, and it's not even like, people pay really good money for like whole fleeces. So the fact that this was a gift and that this gentleman was willing to say like, sure, take the fleece, that's amazing. And like, big shout out to Grace, because she really did. She was like, oh yeah, I just asked him for it. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. So yeah, really excited. So I'm really excited for that. So stay tuned for that. That will be upcoming in the next few weeks. And I think that that's going to be really fun and really interesting to watch. I'm excited to do it. And we'll see. Maybe we'll process a whole skein and spin a whole skein of yarn and we'll give it away to somebody. Like, that would be really fun too. So we'll see. Yeah, so thanks for watching. I kept it under an hour this week. Pretty proud. And please, comment questions. Let me know anything that you might have. And yeah, look forward to seeing y'all next time. Thanks. Bye.